Hello, and welcome to episode 34 of JDUB and Friends podcast with the one, the only, the deceased crab. How you doing tonight, deceased? Or should I call you crab?
Huzzah! I'm doing all right.
Good to hear. Should I call you crab, or should I call you deceased, or should I call you DC?
DC is probably the way to go.
Okay,
Yeah, DC is probably the way to go.
DC works. DC works. Uh, Now you've never been on my podcast, which you were actually referenced in one of my Chugga Conroy, well, my only Chugga Conroy episode, where he actually said you were one of the first people he watched before he did his podcast. So um, that's kind of cool.
Admittedly, I was one of the few people doing recorded Let's Plays at that time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very limited on the record that or YouTube Let's Plays at the time. Um, Now Deceased Crab I've watched for a while. Trying to think what there's a few games that he helped me through. So I'll show his channel here in a second. Uh, so what I'm gonna do first, is we're gonna get some news out of the way. I couldn't really think of anything kind of newsy that I was like, oh, it's kind of big. But the one thing I found out is there's a PlayStation 1 game that is getting remade, and it finally has a release date. So we will go cut all this out, blah blah. All right, Croc, um, and has a release date now for Legend of the Gobos. Did you ever play Croc?
Oh, Croc, Legend of the Gobos?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Not one of the
Uh,
3D platformers I played.
well, the remake is coming out April 2nd of this year. So in literally 12 days or
Yeah,
14 days. Sorry. Yeah. So
some
yeah,
kind of math.
yeah, math is hard for me. But yeah, they got Croc is coming out. He was a came up. I think he was a little bit smaller than like Spyro and Crash, so it's kind of the one that wasn't as popular. But he's definitely was up there. Um, yeah, let's see, be 28-year-old game. Wow.
Game
But
is
yeah,
old enough to vote.
yeah, and drink. Um, yeah, so April 2nd, 2025 will be on modern platforms like PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and then PC via GOG.com. But it yeah, got his final trailer. They are people have called for Argonaut Games to commit to remastering the sequel and the trilogy, or the last one too, or actually make a new Croc 3, I guess. I was not reading that right. Yeah, Croc is skipping Steam, so guess we'll see how that goes. But this is Deceased Crab's channel right here. He's been doing Let's Plays forever. La Mulana was the first Let's Play you did, correct?
Oh, yes.
Yep. And
Oh, yes.
he's done a lot. Shadowrun, Cave Story. Let's see here. We got Karate Kid. The one that he helped me through. Well, this is a Knit Stories was great. Watch that multiple times. I don't care about Rocket League. Um, let's see, where was it? I'm trying to find the one that I started with you on. It might be farther down somewhere. Yeah,
In a
Tetris.
labyrinth.
Yeah, Tetris. You play. Let's play Tetris, which that was. I actually used that one on my when I was playing Tetris because I was like, you know what, I want to hear somebody play Tetris while I play Tetris, so did that. Yeah, it's Kid Dracula. It's another one that I used to try and beat that game with. That's a fun little game that I actually got the Castlevania collection and played it. But yeah, Yeast 3, the Mary Gear Solid series that not many people are playing. But yeah, DC Crab's done a lot of stuff. I mean, ActRaiser, Solar Jetman, which, some of those, that game's difficult, especially with the freaking ship that won't lift stuff and all of a sudden just flips and everything like that. It gets annoying.
It's all physics.
Ah, it's annoying sometimes, and I lose it. But yeah, you're right now. Your newest video came out one day ago was a Maze Struck demo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Looks like you've been, Brandish, stuff like that too. A lot of.
Brandish was a lot, and I have to get back to the optional Della mode in that one.
Mhm. So, is there any of these LPs that you think are that you would like to redo in the future?
Well, about a year in,
Hmm.
a year after I did the original La Mulana, I replayed the original La Mulana, and it was fewer videos, still several dozen videos,
Hmm.
and redoing it just I didn't see a point. It didn't have any useful features. It didn't have anything new to it, really. It's
Yeah.
just me making slightly different jokes, and it doesn't serve a purpose, and I'm sorry I did it. Because I would go on to do the remake of La Mulana
Mhm.
years later, and then I would do several randomizers of that version of La Mulana.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta change something. You can't just play the same game again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's where like learning new things about the game and trying to figure everything out would be a lot different. But yeah, the Amulana again. There it is. 43 videos. Whereas
Why did I do that?
your first time was 90 videos, so you knocked it down half, more than half.
Yeah, but I didn't do Hell Temple the second time around, and I didn't collect
Yeah,
all the ROMs either. So,
true, true.
what was the point of any of it?
So, like I was telling people, or telling you actually, I do five questions. Everybody knows, kind of, sort of, to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Now, my first question for you. Now, if you were a gaming director, gaming publisher, where do you want to be? If you could
Mm-hmm.
create your perfect game, what would it involve?
Okay. I would. Perfect game, perfect game. Donkey Kong versus. You're familiar with the concept of Pac Man versus for the GameCube, where
Mm-hmm.
four people control ghosts and one person controls Pac Man. Donkey Kong versus. Just have one person control Kong, they just control where the barrels are going to go, and four plumbers.
That'd be
And
nice.
then switch off, either the Kong can switch off randomly, or it can go in order, or the winner can become the next Kong.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Yeah, it's like play on what is it, Tetris 99, but it'd be like Donkey Kong and not it'd be actually one person be controlling. That'd be kind of cool.
It's a little more like the Gary's Mod
Yeah.
game Death Run. It's
Yeah.
a little bit like Death Run there.
Yeah, makes total sense. Yeah, I would definitely play that. It'd be a lot of fun.
I would like
Uh,
somebody to make that for me. I can't. I'm very lazy.
Yeah, I'm computer illiterate when it comes to that stuff. I barely can learn how to do this, as you guys could tell if you're watching the live stream. Um, Now, if second question for you, if you weren't doing Let's Plays as content creation, but we're still doing on something on YouTube, what would it be?
If I wasn't doing Let's Plays on YouTube, but I was still making videos on YouTube, it would
Mhm.
probably be Beyblade.
Oh,
I I fell into a bit of a rabbit hole in
mhm.
2018. I made a Beyblade joke despite not having seen Beyblade at all. And I decided, well, on a whim, why don't I look up some stuff about Beyblade?
Mhm.
And so from October 2018 onward, I have been playing a lot of Beyblade. I go to tournaments weekly, and I am decent at the game. I placed third in a tournament on Saturday, a couple days ago,
Oh, nice! Congratulations.
out of like 27 people. So,
Yeah, I was never good at Beyblade. I just
well,
couldn't.
there's a big luck. There's a lot
Mhm.
of luck to it, but there's also a lot of skill, and there's a lot of pay to win. You have to have the right parts.
Yeah, you can't
So
just.
it's not a fair game, and it's not necessarily a good game, but I like seeing tops spin around and crash into each other.
So what you're saying is I can't just let it rip. Dude,
You could just let it rip, depending on what Beyblade you're using and what tip you're using and where you're launching in the stadium and how solid your launch is and are you using a ripcord or a string launcher, etc., etc.
Yep. Yeah, let's just say I know as much about Beyblade as the anime showed me when I was growing up.
I haven't seen a single episode of any of the anime.
Oh, really? It's not
Yeah.
bad, but it wasn't as popular as, some of the bigger ones at that point, like Dragon Ball Z and Cowboy Bebop and all that stuff that was coming out around that time. That just coming to America, because
Yeah.
we're a little slow on the anime part of it. Since you have done a lot of Let's Plays and you probably played a lot of games in your personal time, what is your Mount Rushmore of gaming characters?
Gaming characters?
Yeah. So be, main characters, can be side characters, can be whatever anybody you want to put on there.
So any character I'd like to really put up on a pedestal.
Yep, 4 of them.
Okay. Well, let's see. This is a good one, but I gotta give it some thought.
Yeah.
Let's go with the deceased crab from Monster Party. The NPC that throws books at you from Caro Blaster. Balrog from Cave Story.
Okay.
And something silly and absurd to top it all off. Mikhail Gorbachev. I know he was in some sort of Japanese video game. No, not Mikhail Gorbachev. Let's pick something realistic.
That's funny.
Some spikes from Mega Man.
Yeah, some of those suck.
Yep.
Now you've played a lot of video games over the years. In your own opinion, what is a very underrated video game that you see doesn't get as love that needs or deserves?
So, a couple years ago, or maybe a couple months ago, time is relative, I fell into a pit of wizardry. And it was a 1980 or 1981 game that the first-person dungeon crawler genre was more or less cemented in the collective consciousness by that game. It was very popular in Japan. I am currently playing through 2 wizardry games in my spare time right now. The remake of the first one and the wizardry phone gacha game, which is actually quite good, and you don't have to spend money to win, and it's fine, and it's actually a really good game.
That's nice.
So, the wizardry series does not get a whole lot of attention. It has a lot of games, like Labyrinth of Zangetsu, which very intentionally ape this style and are very, very good. That was my introduction to the whole wizardry genre, was Labyrinth of Zangetsu. And I just want to see more of these dungeon crawlers because I'm absolutely hooked on them. And also, I'm apparently a masochist because they have permadeath. They can, if you die and your resurrection fails, you get ashed. And if resurrecting an ashed character fails, it's gone.
Oh. Well, luckily for you, you don't die in game, you die in real life.
Yep, none of that, thanks.
Yeah. Now, last question I have for you. Like I said, I was trying to think of questions and they didn't really come to me. But what is your favorite thing to do when you're not playing video games?
I mean, it's probably Beyblade.
Okay.
Well, I don't play Beyblade on my own that often. I don't use the Beyblade Stadium I have at home and just play against myself. It's a 2-player game, and no one else in the house really wants to play it, so... what do I do? What do I enjoy when I'm not playing video games? Reading, I guess. Comics. I meant to go to the comic book store today, and I forgot.
Who's your favorite comic book character?
Oh, might be the Hulk, although Hulk's been really kind of grim lately.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've got a soft spot for the Hulk.
Have you watched any of the MCU movies? Because the DC ones are terrible.
I've not watched any of the recent Marvel
Mm.
movies, no.
Yeah, the Captain America 4 came out, which I watched because I like Captain America, cool superhero, and I also like Anthony Mackie, and also he was in one of my favorite movies of all time, 8 Mile with Eminem, because
Okay.
I'm originally from Michigan, so
Ah.
Eminem's Detroit boy, and being an hour and a half away from him was kind of cool. So it's like in Michigan blood to have to watch that movie. uh, but yeah, it was actually pretty good. They have Red Hulk in it, and so which
Hmm.
random trivia, which DC knows, the Hulk when it first came out was not actually green; it was gray because
Oh, yes.
they couldn't use green because the color wouldn't work or something like that for exact definite what the whole thing was. But I remember the gray part of it.
He was gray for one issue, then he turned green, and
Yeah,
then he went back to gray in the 1980s.
yeah, it was odd. Um,
Now there are so many Hulks. Too
yeah,
many, I would say.
there's almost as many Hawks as there are lanterns now.
There are more Hulks than lanterns.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There are a lot of
Right,
lanterns.
right. Yeah, yeah. That's what they invite the white. I was like the White Lantern, really? But now I am a big fan of DeceasedCrab. Like I said, I watched a lot of his Let's Plays. He's helped me out with a lot of games that I stuck on. Kid Dracula being one of them. Um, when you first started out, because you were one of the original Let's Players, because there was not really many people doing it at that point. Who did you look to like to figure out how to do it, what to do, and all that stuff? Or are you kind of just playing it by ear and learning as you go?
So the original plan for me was to make a screenshot Let's Play of La Milana,
Hmm.
and I had a single posting of that screenshot version of La Milana, and someone said, "This doesn't work at all. You need to do video." And I
Hmm.
was like, "Well, nobody wants to hear my voice, but I'll give it a shot anyway." So
Hmm.
the only video LP that I'd seen at that point was Slow Beef, his
Hmm.
LP of the Immortal, and I said, "I'll just do something like this and hope that it works." So I just went ahead and did it with completely unearned confidence.
Now, was Deceased Crab your original username, or did you have something before that and you kind of fell into Deceased Crab, or is it kind of what's the story behind that?
By the time I was Deceased Crab, by the time I came up with the Deceased Crab, I was 23.
Hmm.
I was on a new site and I'm like, well, let's just, I don't know, username. How about the Deceased Crab from Monster Party? Everybody likes that. Everyone's going to get that weird, obscure reference. So I did that. I had many usernames before then because I had grown up during the early internet,
Hmm.
but I felt like it was time for a change, so I said Deceased Crab, why not? I had never really kept usernames more than a couple of years at that point. This has been the longest one I've kept
Hmm.
because it's been 17 years? Yeah, 17 years.
That's a long time. Yeah, once you get a name that sticks with you, it sticks with you too.
Oh, yeah.
What
It is a long time. I mean, I'm wearing a wrist brace now because my wrist is messed up.
Huzzah!
it,
Um,
it's not broken.
yeah, thank goodness. Now, what did you originally start on? Was it kind of like was it the Dazzle, or was it before the Dazzle came out?
I was using Cam Studio, which was a
Oh.
free screen recording software. Camtasia was the good paid for one. I would use that years later.
Hmm.
But at first, I was using Cam Studio.
Man, I
And I
forgot about.
switched to Camtasia and then a couple other pieces of software. Now I just use OBS.
Yeah, I forgot about Cam Studio. That brings back memories. Now,
Yeah, it was. it was
Okay.
something.
Yeah. Now, with the your logo, did you come up with that, or did you have somebody kind of help you out, or?
So I had Moon make that for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shout
yeah,
out.
because yeah, they're an actual graphic artist, and I am not.
Me either. Nope. I
Yeah.
tried. It did not work. I was like, let me paint something. And it was like, oh no, that's ugly. So had a buddy kind of come up with some ideas and kind of throw it together and see what happened. Um, did you did like was what would you want your Let's Plays to become? Did you want to become big, or were you just kind of doing it as something like a hobby on the side?
It was just a hobby on the side. I decided I never wanted to monetize. I never wanted to turn it into a job. I
Hmm.
knew I was probably not going to make any money from it, and I decided I intentionally would not attempt to make money from it. So I would just do it and make the videos while people were interested in enjoying them. And
Hmm.
I've taken breaks of almost a year or more at times, but I just keep coming back to it.
Now, at when you were first starting, was there anybody that you collabed with, like originally that was just coming up, or anybody that you're
I
like, I
did
want
a
to?
couple of collab projects because most of them were based out of the Something Awful forums.
Hmm.
A very interesting place, but not necessarily a healthy place. So there were collabs with Proton John, there were
Mhm.
collabs with Slow Beef. I had entire Let's Plays where there would be guest commentators, or we would do versus mode, or I would trick John into playing the stories map Don't Eat the Mushroom, and,
Oh,
stuff like
yep.
that.
I remember that video. That one, yep. Definitely remember that one. Now, did you were you like when you would collab with Proton John, do you still like go back and forth, be like, hey, what do you think about something like that I'm doing now coming up in this video, or do you guys kind of like not really talk as much?
We don't talk as much. I'm more of an isolatory person when you get
Okay.
right down to it.
Hmm.
A lot of the classic Let's Playing community did not really approve of some of my stylistic choices, and I can't blame them. My quality has never been what you'd call top of the line,
Hmm.
and they were always very vocal about that. They would
Hmm.
complain that I was recording in a wind tunnel, which I had some bad microphones.
Hmm. What was the one microphone that you wish you never had?
Well, I'm on my second mic now. That damn Logitech microphone on the little
Mm.
stand, that thing was always terrible.
Yep.
And after that, I got a CAD U37
Hmm.
after like a year or two, and I'm still using that dang microphone.
It's not bad. Sounds good for quality. I mean, as you can tell, I use Turtle Beach headset.
Hey, whatever works. If you can be
Yeah.
understood and you don't sound like you're in a wind tunnel, go for it. And if you do sound like you're in a wind tunnel, make that part of your entire personality.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Now, is there anybody like right now that you would love to do collab with? I know you were just talking about Proton John. Like, would you ever do a TRG Let's Play with them if they invited you?
Yeah, I mean, if people can help me get through the technical bits and bobs, I'd be glad to join for collabs or multiplayer games or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I would. It'd be cool to see some of the people I watch like yourself, and TRG would be kind of cool to have DeceasedCrab. I'm kind of curious what you guys would say though, which would be different. But um, now, what was there anybody that you're like look or that you start watching, you're like they're gonna be a big Let's Player, like this is actually like they're making it big, or they're gonna take over, they're gonna start something fresh that you never thought about doing or anything like that.
Not really. There were a couple of Let's Players I watched a lot back then, but
Hmm.
they have since stopped.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily keep up on other people's Let's Plays so much.
Yeah.
I sometimes I wonder why people watch them because they just keep going on and on and on. I'm trying to listen to the game. There was a long decade where I just watched long plays.
Hmm. Yeah, I understand that. Now, so when you first started Let's Playing, did you think that you would be doing this for as long as you've done it?
No, no. When I first started Let's Playing, I thought, okay, I'm going to do this video series of La Milana,
Hmm.
and then that'll be it. I'll have the entire purpose was to lower the barriers to entry for La Milana because that game is so difficult. It has
Hmm.
so many barriers to entry that most people will never get anywhere in that game. And I just wanted to make it more accessible because I love the game and I
Hmm.
wanted other people to be able to enjoy it.
That makes
And
sense.
it could also serve as a walkthrough for them.
Yeah, that.
Well, by the end of La Mulana, I thought, you know what? I also want to show people Monster Party. So
Mm.
later on, I start doing videos of that. La Mulana is not even over.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, what about Shadowrun? Other people
Hmm.
like that. And it just went from there. I didn't know how to stop. I had an addiction to making videos and putting them on the internet. And
Yeah. Now, I'm. Why didn't you decide to go monetization? Just because you felt like if you were making money off it, then at that point it's a job?
partly
Okay.
because once it's a job, once money enters it, then you're
Hmm.
obligated. And if you want the money, you have to do it. But then you have to do it and you're being forced. You can't take breaks
Hmm.
and all this other stuff. I I also didn't want to like I have a normal job. It pays the
Hmm.
bills and I just don't want to complicate it. So I decided not to.
Makes sense. Yeah, I was looking at all that stuff. I'm like, that is just a lot of work to get, even just to get monetization. It's like you need, I forget exactly, so many subscribers, and then so many hours of game, and then so much of something else. I forget the other thing, and it was like, even at that point, if you do all that stuff, they might not approve you at that point anyway. It's like, okay, so what? Why would I do all that just to get maybe not even approved?
Their platform, their rules.
Yep. Yep. Now, when you first started out, did you were you using this? You were using different logo, right? When you first started out,
I
or
didn't
you
have a logo.
okay? You're just
I
kind of doing it with
usually
it.
don't use my logo on the videos at all. Occasionally, I will have a talking crab that Moon made me, and I just put it in the lower right corner, and whenever I say something, it moves around, waggles a bit.
That's kind of cool. Are you a what? No, now if you were to change like something like either your name or logo or anything like that, would you change it, or you think feel like at this point you're just kind of deceased crab and that's part of yourself?
I would not change my name or my logo or any of that now. It's just too many years, too many years. I'll stick with it. It's fine.
Mhm. That makes sense. Now, a lot of Let's Players or stuff like that go to cons. Have you ever been to a con?
I only go to cons as an attendee. I
Okay.
mean, Moon has tabled at cons a couple times, and I've been with.
Hmm.
But at that point, I'm usually just there to help them run the stall
Makes
and
sense.
see the rest of the convention.
Okay.
Occasionally, people will figure out who I am at a convention and be like, wow, deceased crab.
Yeah. Now, do you have a favorite convention that you've been to?
Conventions have gotten way more expensive in recent years, and I
Hmm.
can't really justify going to them anymore. MagFest was pretty good for many years. It's
Hmm.
very expensive now. And forget about trying to table there, it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
But they've got a big arcade there. They always have a really big arcade and video game section, so that's always a joy to visit.
Hmm. Yeah, I've always heard MagFest is one to go to, and then one of the PAX East, PAX West, one of the PAX, is a great one to go to too. But like you said, they're so expensive, it's almost impossible to go to them anymore.
And if you have to travel to get there, well, forget about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Plane tickets are not too expensive unless it's in Las Vegas. For some odd reason, Las Vegas is really cheap to fly into. It don't make sense.
Everybody wants you to go to Las Vegas because they want your money, so they
Mhm.
make it as cheap as possible to get there. But it
Yeah.
doesn't smell too good.
Never been. I've never been farther west than Chicago, so you know.
I've been. I went to Las Vegas twice in 1 month once.
Oh
It
wow.
was a bit much.
It was a bit much. That's funny. Now, what other like you do Let's Plays, you know, obviously doing a podcast with me. Thank you for that. Uh, now, what else besides your job, do you do like in your free time? You watch? Are you goer? You kind of, play games, like board games on the side, stuff like that?
I used to play board games weekly, but it's a lot. I
Hmm.
decided I didn't want to accrue a whole bunch of board games. And I'm mostly just isolatory. I like being able to control things on my own time, so I
Hmm.
usually just stay home, play video games. Every now and then I'll see a movie, but I prefer to see them at home where I can control the volume and the pause button. Or see
Yeah,
something old and fun like Columbo. Oh, I've been watching Columbo. That is some good stuff.
I never got into Columbo. I um looked at it and I was like, that's different, and then I just never watched it. Then I randomly got on this Dukes of Hazzard kick. I don't know why. I just one week I think I was sick or something like that, and it was just like I was too tired and sore to get out of bed. So I just sat there and I was like, well, I just watched this. And the next thing you know, I've been through like, a whole season. I'm like, no, bro. Like, okay.
Yep. Sometimes you just find a show and you just watch entire seasons of them.
Yep. Now, you did say you're into comic books. How many comic books would you say you've read or owned over the years?
Oh, probably several hundred.
Hmm.
Probably
Okay.
more than several hundred. I go
Well,
in and out of comic books.
mhm. There's like I just bought the original what was it? Fantastic Four, but it was like the re-release they did wasn't actually
Yes.
like the first, legit
Yeah.
copy because legit copies expensive. Not
Oh, yeah.
Superman expensive where they, released that first whatever and it was like millions of dollars just to buy it and sold for millions more. But no. Now, do you uh do you have like besides the Hulk, I guess, do you have a Mount Rushmore of your comic book characters?
I'm hesitant to put any Spider-Mans up there because
Mhm.
I feel bad for the Spider-Mans. Their life is constant hell.
Yeah.
But I would definitely put the superior Spider-Man up there.
Okay.
Octavius, you are wonderful. They should have let you be the superior Spider-Man forever. Let's see. So we got an Octavius. Let's
Mm,
put Hulk up there. Good
okay.
old Greenie. Ah, I might put Knights of the Dinner Table up there because I've played D&D and I've enjoyed good D&D jokes, but
Hmm.
Knights of the Dinner Table, it's been around forever and it's fun. If you can find it,
Hmm.
if your local comic store has it or you can get a subscription.
Hmm.
What else Mount Rushmore has four? I know there are like five people in the Knights of the Dinner Table, but
That's fine. It's gonna be like the
yeah.
Inhumans
Oh,
and have 17 people.
yeah, I don't need another one. Maybe Usagi Yojimbo. That's a classic.
Okay. Now, how did you get into comic books? Was it just something that you read one day and you're like, I like this, or was it somebody, a friend of yours or somebody like that that kind of got you into it?
I was in college and I thought, well, I guess I should start reading comic books because I'm a college student now, and I went and got some comic books.
Hmm. Do you remember the
It's
first
the same thing with Counter Strike. I
Counter
thought to
Strike?
myself, well, I'm in college, and Counter Strike is a big thing out there, so I'll go buy a copy of Half Life and play Counter Strike.
Yep, Counter Strike was massive. That Quake was big for a while.
Mm-hmm. You
Uh,
had a big Quake phase in the 90s.
yep, Doom was big for a little bit. Not as multiplayer big as Quake was, but it was just insane. What they Duke Nukem was big for a little bit, but Now, what is your when you actually come up with a let's or decide to choose a let's play, do you have a favorite genre do you head towards more or you just kind of play whatever's on your mind?
Platformers are probably the safest to do. RPGs the most dangerous. When you
Mhm.
start an RPG, you are committing yourself to an unwholesome number of videos. You will
Mhm.
be stuck with that game for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
Earthbound took me forever.
Yeah.
Just took me forever. Brandish, 45 videos. Oh, God. I love Brandish.
Hmm.
But that game is a nightmare. I played it mostly so that other people wouldn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, ironically, actually, do you have like, I guess I'll ask this before I explain my story. Do you have like a game that is like your favorite game that you haven't Let's Played yet, and you're like, this is the one I want to do. That's a big Let's Play, but I kind of nervous about doing
No, I'm pretty sure I already did Earthbound.
it. Yeah.
I was very nervous about doing that one for a very long time because I knew it would be a hell world for me.
Hmm. I
And it
understand that.
was.
Mhm. Yeah, so I don't know. You might have played this game. Not many people have played it actually, but Legend Dragoon came on the PS1. It was an RPG from back in the day. Did you ever play Legend Dragoon?
I didn't play Legend of Dragoon. My brother put a mod chip in our PS1, so Legend of Dragoon was one of the games that would not run on a mod chip. They had
Yep.
specific stuff in place to keep people with mod chips from playing it. And I
Yep.
thought, well, that's that.
Random trivia for everybody. Legend Dragoon was actually the first JRPG that sold more in America than it did in Japan. So, random trivia. But yeah. So why I asked you about the Holy Grail thing is I have been wanting to for years 'cause after watching you, watching Chugga, watching NCS, Proton John, people like that. I'm like, it'd be cool. Is like I'm a big Legend of Dragoon fan. I've beat it like 10, 15 times now, and it's just a great game. So unique. But I always thought it'd be kind of cool as a Holy Grail, like when I made it big, 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 you know, like where people actually will collab with me and all that stuff, is like to
Mhm.
have like different Let's Players I looked up to be different characters in the game, like voicing the different characters. I was like, that'd be really cool, but then it's gonna take a lot of work, and that's kind of the scary thing. It's like,
It would. It would
uh,
be.
but it's
That'd be
like,
a lot. But you
yeah,
know what? You do what you want. That's what
right,
matters. Do
exactly,
what's
yeah,
fun.
definitely. Now, do you ever see yourself retiring from the Let's Play, or you just kind of keep going until
It's
you just get
better
tired of it?
to fade away than retire. Because
Hmm.
if you fade away, you can just start doing it again and nobody will be able to tell the difference. I once semi retired in 2010 and just didn't tell anybody, and nobody really noticed. But then a couple months later, I thought, well, I want to play this game. Retire, Rishmire. I do what I want whenever I want. And I just started making videos again.
Yep. Now, at least with retire, if you retire, it could be like WWE where you just come back like 6 months later for some people. Um, did you see like yourself because I know you have like 33,000 follow or subscribers on your YouTube account. Did you ever expect to have like that many people when you first started out, or is it kind of like this is nuts that I have all of a sudden these many people are watching or subscribing to my channels?
In the early years, I thought it was very astounding.
Hmm.
I thought it was astounding to me that it got that high. But I think a lot of that mostly has to deal with the fact that I was one of the first, if not the first person to upload these things on YouTube. I won't claim to be the first. It
Hmm.
was one of the very early ones, at least. Everybody
Yeah.
else at the time was saying, oh, YouTube is bad. It has the 10-minute limit. It
Hmm.
has this. It has that. We want to use other things like Daily Motion or
Hmm.
some other site. And I said, well, that's cool. I'll just upload my stuff to YouTube because I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't.
Daily Motion really never took off like YouTube did, which was weird. I, I don't know. Yeah, I remember you were starting, and I remember NCS was doing the camcorder Let's Plays. I remember those. A lot of people are doing those.
You do what works.
Yeah.
And if that works, just do it. It's fine.
Yep. Yep. And then yeah, you were big, and then I think NCS Proton John, a few of them came along after you. HC Bailey was another one that came after you, and that speaking of art, that he does RPGs, and it's just I'm like, how would you not get tired of doing the same, RPGs, all not same RPGs, but doing that many RPGs in a row? It's like at that point I'd be feeling like I'd get, tired of doing them.
Some people just like RPGs.
Yeah, I like RPGs. I don't know. That's a lot of RPGs to do back to back to back to back. But I guess figuring all that stuff out. Now, did you like when you first started? Did you teach yourself like how to edit and all that stuff, or is it kind of like I need to figure out somewhere to learn, or was it just kind of like I'm gonna test it and see what happens?
So you don't really have to edit. You
Hmm.
can. You'll have a better product if you edit, but you can just muddle along for 2,000 videos or so without any editing, and it won't really make a difference.
Hmm.
I mean, if you want to make it big, sure, learn to
Yeah.
edit. If you want to monetize, hey, learn to edit.
Mm-hmm.
But, it is by no means required.
Hmm. Yeah.
I generally don't edit mine.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
I have to edit mine, it means something has gone wrong and I have to bleep something out.
Yep. Now, when you first started, did you? I forget how far this was in, but did you have the? I remember it was an issue like where people record the game and then they record their voice and they had to try and combine them together to make it actually work. Did you have any of those problems, or did you kind of just figure out a way to do it without having to connect or combine them like that?
So, when I first started out, I was very foolish, and I was putting the game audio out through the microphone
Mm.
and picking it up from. I was getting the game audio out through the speakers,
Mhm.
and then I would pick it up on the microphone, and I would pick my voice up on the microphone, and that's how I got everything. And that's why I sounded like I was in a wind tunnel, because I was.
Mm. Mhm.
That's a terrible way of doing things. OBS has really changed the game by giving everybody access to really high quality recording software for free, and
Mhm.
all you have to do is just wear headphones. Wearing headphones is key. Just wear
Mhm.
headphones and have the OBS pick up the game audio, have OBS pick up your microphone audio, and just go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I got an Elgato HD60 that I actually won for free, so I get to learn how to use one of those in the next or probably next year because it's I moved to Florida to be with my wife, and it's
Mm-hmm.
still in Michigan with my mom, so
Oh
gotta get that
no.
down here. Yeah, so I was like, well, I guess we'll get it eventually, but um, now uh, since you did say something about Spider-Man earlier, who is the best Spider-Man in your opinion?
It is the superior Spider-Man. He is
Okay,
superior. He's Dr. Octopus. He's not
yeah.
necessarily a good guy. He's sort
Hmm.
of a jerk, but he's a good time.
Hmm. I agree. Did you like the Spider-Man movies they came out with, or were you kind of like, eh?
I liked the first Spider-Verse movie.
Okay.
I really didn't like the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch a lot of the recent Spider-Man movies, but I did see No Way Home, and I thought that was exceptional
Hmm.
because of all the callbacks to the previous villains.
Yeah.
It's just really well done.
Yeah,
Gotta watch that again.
Toby's my favorite Spider-Man. Always will be, always don't matter. He's like I personally I think he was the best of the three, and Andrew Garfield kind of got the short end of the stick with the villains that they threw in there. I mean, like Tobey Maguire's villains were, Doc Ock and Green Goblin, and the actors they picked for those were perfect. And then Sony got their hands on the third movie and ruined it. But other than that, Venom was not great. Not great.
No, I remember seeing Spider-Man 3 in theaters and thinking to myself, what was this? I love Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman. That's
Yeah.
good. I'm
Hmm.
glad we got to see him again.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not a fan of Venom. I was like, why at that point? Like, I think Bradley Cooper was coming up a little bit at that point. He had already been in Whiting Crashers and had been in a couple big movies at that point. It's like, why not make he would have been a great Venom at that point in his career. That would have helped him so much. He had that, Flash Thompson, angry, cranky, you know,
Yeah,
uh, well, yeah, whatever. And I was like, he would have been perfect Venom, but then Topher Grace was coming off that '70s show, and apparently they wanted to jump on that, but it just wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. And then
you know,
and
interesting choices.
yeah, Andrew Garfield got Rhino, who was in a suit or a metal, uh, suit instead of actually like an actual, suit. And it was just like, ugh, like why? And that's when Rhino was ruined for me. I'm like, why would you do that to Rhino? Like he's one of the better, Spider-Man villains, and nope, we're gonna do this though.
Well, the Rhino that they had in the PlayStation games wasn't terrible, and I'm pretty sure he
No,
was Metal Suit as well.
yeah, but I mean, like the Rhino in the movie kind of was like where he had the whole metal. He looked like a Zoid for people who recognize.
Ah,
Yeah, it's like why? Why would you do? Why? But did you what did you think of Tom Holland as Spider-Man?
I think he's okay. I didn't watch his first two movies as
Hmm.
Spider-Man, but it's or was it just one
No,
movie?
he did too. No Way
Okay.
Home, Far From Home, and Homecoming.
Okay, yeah. I didn't see Homecoming or Far From Home.
Hmm.
I thought he was fine in the third one. I thought he was fine. Just
Yeah.
an okay Spider-Man. I
Hmm.
try not to pick on different portrayals of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I understand that. Now the different portrayals of Batman on the other hand, no, I was kidding.
Ah, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, that is the best. I don't care what nobody says. That is the best Batman of all time. Even better than Michael Keaton, as everybody says. He's the best Batman. It's like no, Kevin Conroy was definitely the best Batman. He was perfect.
I really like the new Batman they've got in Cape Crusader. I think I
Mhm.
loved him in Midnight Mass, and I
Mhm.
think he's really good in Cape Crusader. And I, for the life of me, can't remember his name. Thomas Hainish or something. I don't know.
Did
Sorry.
uh okay, so I have a weird confession to make. I absolutely loved Batman and Robin with Clooney.
Okay, that's fun.
I
You know,
all
don't
it's
yuck anybody else's yum.
I just thought it was was funny. It was like the first like at that point it was my first Batman movie because I missed Keaton's, I missed Val Kilmer's,
Yeah,
which but I also will say that I feel like Jim Carrey did it, good job as Riddler, with what they threw him story wise into, but
but more of a Jim Carrey than a Riddler.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Some actors are only capable of playing themselves,
Mm,
and I love them all the more for it.
yeah.
Willem Dafoe is the
Oh,
best actor who can only play himself. He
yeah.
can only play two roles, Willem Defriend or Willem Dafoe,
Yep.
and it's always a good time.
Dooch. Yeah. Now he was great as Green Goblin in my opinion. Just that how he switched, you know, mid like I remember watching the scene where he's in the mirror talking to himself, but
Hmm.
then you see just the different sides of the Green Goblin, what they're dealing, what he's dealing with being Norman Osborn and then the Green Goblin at the same time. It's like this is incredible what they can do. But um did you what'd you think of Doc Ock? Did you think they nailed his I always thought they nailed the character for
In
him.
Spider-Man 2,
Yeah.
oh, he was great. Alfred Molina, it's
Yeah.
great because he's classically trained. He did Fiddler on the Roof, and now
Mhm.
he's doing Doc Ock. It's silly. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. But he's sort of got that iconic bowl cut a little bit,
Hmm.
and you know what? I'm here for it. Go nuts, Doc Ock. And it was glorious to see him again in No Way Home.
Yeah. Yep, I was thrilled about that. And then Daredevil. well, I was gonna say spoiler alert, but everybody, this movie's been out for what, like 4 years now, something like that. Crazy.
Mhm.
I mean, Daredevil was in it. He's one of my favorite, Marvel superheroes of all time. And perfect casting for Daredevil too. I nothing against Ben Affleck, but Ben Affleck was just not a good Daredevil. Just meh. He didn't hit that character
Yeah,
right.
Ben Affleck is good at being Ben Affleck and
Hmm.
not necessarily a character.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. He just didn't hit it, and I was like, I've seen better. But the
Wait,
new,
didn't he also do one as Batman? Is
yep,
that? Oh my
yep,
god,
yep.
this is the worst timeline.
Yeah, they kind
Well,
of,
not the worst, but it's pretty bad sometimes.
yeah, yeah. They've changed. DC's now changed the Batman. They've changed the Superman. I think the only one that's going to be surviving is now Wonder Woman, and it's Gal Gadot. So we'll see if that changes in the future. I know. Let's see.
I
Superman
mean,
has.
actors don't own the character forever, and as
Yeah.
we've seen in comics, there are just many different interpretations of any given character,
Hmm.
and that's fine.
Yeah. The one character I think that you cannot redo no matter what is
Mhm.
Iron Man. I think Downey absolutely nailed that character. I think that Downey was the best. He was Iron Man. He was Tony Stark, in my opinion. I don't think anybody else can be
He
Tony.
did, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
impossible. Captain America. I mean, they're trying to with Anthony Mackie is a totally different side. I mean, the Falcon. Uh, Captain America, but just something about Downey and the way he played Iron Man. I was like, this is insane. This is great. And I'm glad. I know this might piss off some people, but I am so glad that went away from Edward Norton for being the Hulk.
Oh, I liked Norton Hulk.
Oh, I was not a fan.
I thought he was good. I have a soft spot for the Hulk movies. I loved Ang Lee's Hulk in
Yeah,
2006 or wherever it was. I loved that movie.
you like Bana?
Yeah, Eric Bana was fine.
Yeah.
And, Edward Norton, he was good too, but.
Mhm. What'd you think of the What'd you think of the new Hulk?
Ruffalo?
Yeah.
He's fine.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
fine. The movies he was in, they weren't really Hulk centered, so
Hmm. Yeah. I think
I
they.
saw him in Avengers. And
Mhm. Yeah. Universal, I guess, owns the Hulk in single movies, so I guess Disney has to talk to them about the Hulk and all that stuff. And I don't know.
licensing is a mess, what with the Hulk and the X-Men, the Fantastic Four.
Hmm.
Licensing for these characters in film, it's just a total mess.
Yeah, definitely. Even in the
And
amusement parks.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man's a definite mess. At this point, I was telling somebody, I forget who it was, and I said, at this point, they should allow, because Sony's been doing so good with Miles Morales as their Spider-Man, that they
Yeah.
should allow Peter Parker to be the Disney Spider-Man, should be allowed to let him go at that point. I mean, I get, it's the original Spider-Man, it's Peter Parker, but at this point, you're doing so much with Miles Morales, you could still go forward and move on to Spider-Man 2099. You could do so much with different Spider-Man and then just let, Peter Parker walk. But
Yeah, I'm not super invested in Peter Parker as Spider-Man. I read a lot of the Miles Morales comics, but they're just turning him into another Peter. His life is a living hell, and I'm not here for it.
yeah, I
Bring
agree.
back Doc Ock. I just want to see. I was so upset
Mm,
when they turned him back into Doc Ock.
yeah,
Because the
yeah.
Superior Spider-Man comics for after he got out of, Peter Parker's body,
Mhm.
and he was just in his own body, or clone body, or whatever.
Right.
I loved it. I thought it was great. And then they decided, you know what, we're canceling it. We're going to undo the whole thing. We're going to turn him into Doc Ock forever.
Yep.
We're going to do a Mephisto. We're going to screw it up the only way we know how. We're going to bring Mephisto into it.
The best way, no. Now, did you play the Spider-Man games on PS4?
I played through Spider-Man 1, and I played almost the end of Spider-Man Miles Morales. And I
Okay.
just wasn't invested enough in it to actually finish the game. I got the very last mission.
Miles was a little, I think was all right. It wasn't the best. They kind of, it was just a connection between the two. They could have just made a DLC at that point, and then when they brought Spider-Man 2, but yeah,
Yeah.
just Spider-Man 1 was so good though. It was like
Oh, I
incredible what
spent
they.
many, many hours with it.
Yep, it's incredible. Now, what did you think of the of Yuri as the Spider-Man voice?
Who is the Spider-Man voice?
Yuri, I forget his last name.
Oh, Yuri Lowenthal.
Thank you. Him.
Um, it was okay. It was
Mhm.
okay. You know, my favorite Spider-Man voice has got to be whoever did the 1995 cartoon series of Spider-Man.
Yep.
Because I grew up on that stuff. It
Me
wasn't a
too.
very good show. They reused the animation so much, but
Hmm.
you know, it was fun. It'll
Yeah.
always be the iconic Peter and the iconic Doc Ock voice for me.
Yep.
Oh, Spider-Man, you cannot defeat the intellect of Dr. Octopus.
And Hobgoblin was Joker.
Mark Hamill, yes!
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Hmm.
Mark Hamill, during his voice acting days, ooh,
Yeah. Perfect.
he did a very good job of it. I don't really like the Star Wars so much,
Hmm.
but I think Mark Hamill has done great work outside of the Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy to see Luke Skywalker go from Luke Skywalker to the Prince of Evil, Joker. And just be like, wow, that's like you didn't even know it was him because he didn't sound anything like him. He just kind of, he had the laugh down, the perfect laugh, and I would have loved, and I think it's too late now, would have been to get me a Batman Beyond movie and then
Mm-hmm.
had Bruce Wayne be Kevin Conroy
Mm-hmm.
and then have Joker be Mark Hamill.
Uh-huh.
And then you start into the live action, keep going to live action. You choose whoever you want as Batman Beyond, whatever.
Yeah.
But I just think those two would have been perfect in a movie like a live action. I know they did the
They
what was
did
it?
Return of the Joker, yes.
Yep. And then they did what was the one, the Arrowverse, whatever. They had that whole Second Earth.
Crossover thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Conroy was in it. I remember he played Bruce Wayne, but it was like they left, I mean, Hamill was in Flat or Arrow or Flash, I forget which one. He might have been both, but he was, he played the Trickster, which was basically,
That
Joker
was a
with,
callback to his original role as the trickster in the
yeah,
90s pilot of The Flash.
yep. And it was like, I'd rather seen him as a Joker as a throwback in the, if they want to do the cross whatever, I forget the name of it, but it was a big thing. And then, obviously when we were, I was younger, they had what was that? Oh my goodness, what was the name of the show? The Superman show.
Justice League Unlimited?
No, the Superman one that was live action that came out like,
Oh, Smallville.
yes, thank you. That was the big one at a point too. And they never actually said he was Superman because apparently they didn't have the rights or something like that to Superman at that point. He
Oh,
just,
licensing issues are just so weird.
yep. Yeah, now the crazy one that I was excited about was Deadpool. When Disney got Deadpool, I was like, "What?" When, they bought Fox and everything like that. I'm like, "All right, how's Disney gonna do this?" And then they came out and brought Disney or the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So good.
I still haven't seen that. I need to see that.
Oh, it is incredible. Did you see the first two Deadpool movies?
I did, actually.
Okay. So,
Good time.
yeah, I would say this one's a lot better than the second one for sure.
Low
Deadpool,
bar, but it was
yeah,
still pretty good.
yeah. But way better than X-Men Wolverines or X-Men Origins Wolverine. Way better than that. At least they don't, zip his mouth shut in this movie.
Yeah, I heard bad things about that one.
That was so bad. But yeah, there's if you like X-Men, there is some spoiler alert for anybody. There is some X-Men characters in it that are you're like, oh, okay. So
Oh, do they have Warlock in it?
no.
Do they have? I'm trying to think of the most C or D tier X Men I can possibly think of.
uh, I would. I mean, one I could think of that.
I wouldn't do Gambit like that.
No. Okay. Now, I was kind of shocked that they were going Channing Tatum for Gambit, and then they canceled it. But I think they'll probably do something with Gambit in the future. We'll see though.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it'd be cool. Now, did you now as a comic book fan, a lot of my
Hmm.
friends were uncomfortable with Hugh Jackman being Wolverine when he's first cast. What did you have any opinion on that?
I thought he was fine. I mean, he's fine on the stage. He's fine as Wolverine.
Hmm.
He's doing just fine with it.
Yeah, he's talented. He's a great Wolverine. I think he's a great Wolverine. That's another one I don't think you could change him and uh, Downey, like I said. But Wolverine's just he's made that character his own over the years, and then
He really has.
Professor X. James McAvoy was all right. Not as good as Stewart. I feel like Stewart was a lot better. Professor X, and then
I
thing
feel
that
like Stewart wasn't an amazing Professor X. He just happened to fit the image we all had of Professor X in our heads, and we all loved
yeah,
Patrick Stewart, so we gave him a pass.
yeah. The one thing that always bugged me about the first three X-Men movies is how weak they made Cyclops look. They like made him a baby. I was like, why? Cyclops is like supposed to be a badass, be able
Well,
to do all this other
he
stuff, and
didn't
it's
get
like,
really overpowered in the comics until later.
yeah. But I mean, it wasn't like I'm sad. Jean Grey's dead. I'm sad. I'm gonna go and drive in my motorcycle and see what happens. And oh, you know. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess what happens. Now, if you could cast any superhero that hasn't been made in a movie yet, is there anybody that you would or that you would love to see in a superhero movie that would be a great, superhero, I guess, movie?
So the question is, what actor and what superhero?
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right.
That's what I was trying to say, but it didn't work out.
There's a lot of good superheroes out there that don't get used very often.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm really looking forward to seeing that guy Gardner. That's that
Hmm.
Nate Dillon. He looks like a real jerk in that role. That's
Yeah.
so I might actually see them.
Hmm.
But what superhero or comic book character? I don't know. I'm
I.
not that. I'm a little. I've seen a lot of superhero movies over the years, but
Hmm.
I think it's time we get back to some classics.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know.
I think they could do a lot with the Martian Manhunter. I
They
really want to.
could. They could, but I don't know if he's got the star power, the draw. He never
Hmm.
really has.
Right. I think, personally, while you're thinking about superhero, I think they could have done the DC so much better and still trying to catch up on what the MCU was doing at that point. They had the freaking Green Arrow show. They had the Flash show.
Hmm.
At that point, all you had to do is, create. Let's say, all right, you want to do your Batman movie, cool. You want to do your Superman movie, cool. You want to do your Wonder Woman movie, all right. Now what could have connected all those characters together. You keep the Green Arrow, you keep Flash from the shows,
Uh huh.
but in either one of the episodes, you have Martian Manhunter show up, but he's not actually the Martian Manhunter. You don't know he's a Martian Manhunter. He's just a guy. He's like, hey, I'm trying to set up this league. You're like, that's odd, like a Justice League type thing. You're like, it's weird. Who is this guy? And then all of a sudden he starts showing up in like the Batman movie. Then he shows up in the Superman movie. Then he shows up in the Wonder Woman movie. And then you could, do Aquaman, but then Aquaman,
So use him as connective tissue between all the other ones and set up a
exactly.
big Justice League movie that way.
Yep, and either have him pop up as Martian Manhunter in one of the movies, like like let's say Green Lantern is, they make Green Lantern movie, and all of a sudden he's you see him, he's Green Lantern's like, I'm unsure, and then he all of a sudden pops up as a Martian Manhunter. You're like, oh crap, he's been Martian Manhunter this whole time, and then he's like, yep, we're gonna create something, or something like that. It'd be kind of cool. Like they all Justice League versus Sinestro or something like that. And
His plan is more nuanced than most Hollywood executives can really fathom.
yeah.
I mean, we can understand the beauty of it, but at the
Hmm.
same time,
They,
we're not the ones who are going to the movies. It's the everybody else who's going to the movies giving them their most profit, so they have to
yeah.
cater to that sort of thing.
Yeah, they wanted to catch up on Marvel because Marvel was making so much money at that point with Thor and Iron Man and Captain America at that point. They're like, well, we need to catch up. Avengers is already done. And then they just ruined Justice League for everybody.
It's fine. They can try different things. The new Superman movie has plenty of Justice League type
Hmm.
stuff going on in it, so they're
Yeah.
going to be just fine.
Yeah, Blue Beetle, I was surprised that the DC went with that. I was like, really? Blue Beetle of all characters? Okay, I guess that's cool.
I know everybody loves Ted Cord, but, there are more than one Blue Beetle, and,
Hmm.
you can try things. Doesn't
Yep.
hurt to try.
Yep, definitely.
It can be expensive to try, but, try
No,
anyway.
definitely, yeah. Now, I think I already know your answer, but who is your favorite Green Lantern?
Well, you're thinking I'm going to say Guy Gardner, because I've already mentioned him. I
Nope.
don't know. I watched a lot of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, so I might have to go with Jon Stewart. I just
Yep.
like him. He's just a nice guy.
That's who I was thinking you're gonna lean toward, is Jon Stewart.
Kyle Rayner, not really. No. Um, who's the one that went crazy?
Uh,
I
there's
just
Mo.
described all of them. Oops.
Yeah, Hal Jordan.
Hal Jordan. Yeah, I don't really care for Hal at all.
Hal was.
I
I
don't
mean,
really care for Hal at all.
they try to make him in that Green Lantern movie, and I don't know if I have that one. No, I do have that one. I
Guy
bought it
Gardner makes
this
a
year.
better Yellow Lantern than a Green Lantern. Let's be
Hmm.
honest.
Yeah, and
Or a Red Lantern, or whatever Lantern.
yeah,
Hey, I'm the Purple Lantern Corps if you really want to, or Indigo Lantern Corps if you really want to shake things up.
yeah. At this point, Hal Jordan's been almost every Lantern, I think.
I thought it was Kyle Rayner that was in every one.
Yeah, I think Rainer's too, but it's just
And that's why I don't read Green Lantern comics.
yeah,
I just look at them on Wikipedia after the fact because, ooh, I am not going to try and track all of that. No.
yeah. And then when I read that Batman became a Lantern at one point, I was like, what? Batman was a Lantern? I was like, yeah, apparently, I don't know, but
What lantern was he?
I think he had something to do with the yellow.
Criminals are a superstitious and cowardly lot. Very good. All right.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
tracks. That's fine.
Yeah, it was
Golf
weird.
clap for
Let
them.
me see if let me look here. Let's see. Batman, Green Lantern. He was um Darkest Nights. Bruce Wayne becomes the Green Lantern of Sector 2814.
Oh no.
Yep.
That is a choice.
Rather than Hal Jordan. I think he was a yellow lantern too at one point. Let's see if I remember.
Well,
Uh
Bruce Wayne does have a lot of willpower.
yeah. Um yeah, here we go. Yeah, he powered the Yellow Lantern in some DC. Um, I forget exactly which one it was, but it was really weird. And then Justice League. Uh, how was the name of that? Justice League. I think it was War. I think where
That was a good one. The
Batman knew all
Apocalypse
the
one.
yeah, Batman knew everybody's weakness and all that stuff too, which was kind of cool.
Oh, that was
And
Justice League Doom.
Doom, that's what it was. Yep, not War, Doom, where he knew everybody's weakness, and that was kind of a cool idea that they used, but. Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. It was before the start of the Sinestro Corps War, a Yellow Lantern ring chose Batman as a possible host in 2007's Green Lantern number 17 by Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis. Because of his
Okay,
ability.
that is why I don't read as much DC.
Yep. His ability to instill great fear in his enemies. That's why. Okay.
All right.
Weird.
I
Yeah.
have to go get some dinners.
Yeah. I was just about to ask as the last question. Do you are have you had anybody that's been like, hey, your videos have, made my day a lot better or anything like that?
Yes, hundreds.
It's good to hear.
Hundreds of comments like that. People are really going through it now. They've really gone through it in the past.
Hmm.
And, if I can just be a little ray of sunshine that in someone else's day, then
Hmm.
it'll probably help make up for all the terrible things I used to do when I was a teenager. Ha ha ha.
Well, um, I guess I'll ask one final question, even though I said it was a final question, but do you have anything for like a new person that wants to start doing content creation, any advice for somebody like that?
I don't because I'm not incredibly successful at it. Basically, I guess don't moderate the comments. Like, remove the hate crime stuff, but
Hmm.
just don't hide the likes. Just let what will be, will be. You
Hmm.
can't control the narrative. People are going to say nasty stuff about you, and you can't deal with it, and it's just life.
Yeah, I understand that
Just
completely.
ignore everything. Do not interact. Do not engage. Just continue to make content and hope that people like it, get that paycheck, and make sure you have another job lined up because content creation is not the way.
Yep. Unless you're really, really big, like a Chugga
Mm-hmm.
Conroy, somebody like
You have
that.
to be really lucky, really big, or I don't know.
Yep. Well, I want to thank you for being on this episode of the podcast. I know it was kind of last minute we were deciding, but um, where can people find you? If
I
they want to watch
am
you.
on YouTube. If you look up Deceased Crab on YouTube, you're probably going to find me.
Okay.
You
And
might even find some videos where I've been in Beyblade. But
okay, there you go.
and what else? Um, I am on social networks, but not much.
Hmm. Yeah, That's why I was. When I first reached out, I was like, "Hey, does anybody know how to get a hold of him?" I was like, "I am." Yeah, I was looking. I'm like, tweets are like not very many, so I know he was
There
actually.
really aren't very many. I mostly just lurk, but I'm there,
Yep.
always watching, driving myself slowly insane.
Yep. Well, thank you all for watching this episode. Thank you, Deceased Crab, again for being on this episode. And Saturday, I will see you guys with Madman doing another podcast episode. Which, yeah, two podcasts 1 week. So thank you all for watching. Thank you, Deceased Crab, and y'all have a great night.
Huzzah!